God is urgently reaching for you right now. God is not whispering. Heaven is sounding the alarm over your life. Chosen one, this message is not entertainment. It is not background noise. This is a divine briefing about your name, your story, and your future. God is crying to reach you. A major arrest is coming, and it is directly connected to your destiny. You did not click on this by accident. You were summoned. Heaven has been pushing this word in front of your eyes because you have reached a turning point that cannot be ignored any longer. You know it in your spirit. Something in you has been restless, pacing inside your chest. You have walked through betrayal, accusation, and quiet humiliation. You have been the one who was misunderstood, misjudged, and talked about in rooms you were never invited into. You have been the one who held back your words while others twisted your story. Yet through it all, God watched, God listened, God recorded. For a season, it felt like God was silent, like the sky was made of stone and your prayers bounced back at you. But what you called silence was actually investigation. Heaven was gathering every detail, every tear, every injustice into a case file with your name written across the top. Tonight, that file is being opened. Chosen one, you need to understand how serious this moment is. A major arrest is coming. In nature, it may look like a person finally facing the consequences of what they have done. In the spirit, it is much bigger than one name on a headline. It is a sign that God himself is stepping into your timeline to confront what has been oppressing you. This arrest is not about your punishment. It is about your vindication. The lies that were used to hold you back are about to be handcuffed. The accusations that tried to chain your identity are about to be escorted out of your future. God is accelerating the process. What should have taken years will begin to move in days. The same God who saw you crying in private is now standing in the center of your story, saying, "Enough." If something in you is already trembling, that is your spirit recognizing the sound of truth. Do not treat this like another video you scroll past. This word is a doorway. Walk through it. Agree with it. Right now, pause and write 777 I receive in the comments as a declaration that you are stepping into divine justice and divine acceleration. Like this message, so it can reach others who are where you used to be. Share it with someone who has been silently bleeding from betrayal. And if you know you are the one God is talking to, subscribe and stay close, because this is only the beginning of what heaven is about to reveal to you. You have been walking through a story that almost no one fully understands. People saw the surface, but they never saw the nights you wiped your face before stepping out of your room. They never saw how many times you swallowed words that could have destroyed someone, but you chose to stay quiet. You know what it feels like to be betrayed by someone you trusted, to be used for your kindness and then discarded when you were no longer convenient. You know what it is to be talked about behind closed doors, to feel the temperature shift in a room when your name is mentioned. There were moments when people smiled in your face while secretly building a case against you. They twisted conversations, exaggerated your mistakes, and minimized your sacrifices. They painted you as the problem, so they could walk away looking clean. You walked away in silence, while others laughed as they had won. They thought your silence was weakness. They thought your absence meant defeat. But heaven read your silence as strength and your absence as protection. You could have exposed things. You could have fought dirty. You could have matched lie for lie and wound for wound. Instead, you chose a different path. You chose to guard your heart. You chose to step back, to surrender the fight you could not win in your own strength. Every time you took the higher road, heaven took note. Every time you let them have the last word, heaven reserved the final word for itself. You have been the misunderstood one, the one whose motives were questioned, whose loyalty was doubted, whose character was attacked while you were trying your best to love, to serve, to stand. There were days you looked in the mirror and asked, "Is it me? Am I really what they say I am?" You started to second-guess your own heart because the voices around you were so loud. Yet deep inside, there was a quiet knowing that refused to die, a small voice that kept whispering, "I know the truth, and I know you." That voice was God's. In Scripture, Joseph lived this same pattern. His brothers betrayed him, lied about him, sold him, and then erased him from the family story. Years later, when God raised him up, he could say to them, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Your life has carried that same pattern. People meant to damage you, to bury your name, to close doors in your face. They meant to profit off your pain, to build their image on top of your silence. But God has been quietly shaping your suffering into a setup. What wounded you was never going to be the last word over you. This is why the coming justice is not random or excessive. It is proportionate to the weight of what you endured. You are not the one being punished. You are the one being lifted, cleared, and restored. The very rooms where your name was weaponized will one day have to confront the truth about who you really are. The very mouths that labeled you will have to revisit their own words. Heaven has not forgotten a single detail. Every tear, every injustice, every moment you stayed quiet instead of exploding has become part of a larger story God is authoring. And now that you have seen how deep the wound goes, you are ready to see how deep God's justice goes. Chosen one, your past is not being erased. It is being reinterpreted under heaven's light. The next part of this message will show you why God seemed so silent while all of this was happening, and what that silence has really been doing behind the scenes of your life. You have asked those questions in the dark that you would never dare to say out loud. God, where were you when they lied about me? Where were you when they laughed, when they shut the door in my face, when I went home and broke down alone? There were nights when heaven felt like concrete, when your prayers felt like they hit the ceiling and fell back into your lap. You watched people move on as if nothing had happened. They went to parties, posted pictures, got promotions, while you sat with the ruins of what they did to you. You wondered, if God really saw, why didn't he step in? Why didn't he defend me in that moment? That ache in your chest, that silence from above, almost convinced you that maybe you were forgotten. Maybe your pain did not matter after all. But heaven's silence is not absence. Silence is often the sound of a case being built. While you were trying to survive, God was gathering. While you were wiping your tears, God was counting them. While you were replaying their words in your head, God was recording them in his book. What you called a delay was actually documentation. Every late-night breakdown, every time you chose not to fight back, every time you walked away instead of exploding, became evidence in a higher court than any room they used to judge you. You saw nothing moving on the outside, but behind the scenes, files with your name on them were being filled, sealed, and prepared for a day you are now approaching. Even great minds of faith have wrestled with this mystery. C.S. Lewis, a brilliant writer and thinker, did not speak about pain from a distance. He bled through it. In The Problem of Pain, and later, in A Grief Observed, he poured out the raw confusion of feeling God close, and then suddenly far away. He once described pain as a kind of megaphone, a way God shouts into a world that has gone deaf. That does not mean God delights in your suffering. It means that in the very places you thought God was the quietest, something important was happening. Just like Lewis, you have walked through seasons where it felt like heaven had turned its face. But what if that silence was the space where God was watching who you chose to become? When you were tempted to become bitter, you chose to bend, but not break. When you wanted to expose everyone, you chose to stay in alignment with your own conscience. That did not go unnoticed. Heaven watched not only what they did to you, but how you responded to what they did. The investigation was not just about their cruelty, it was also about your integrity. That is why this moment carries so much weight. A case has been built not only against the injustice, but in favor of your character. When the prophet Amos cried, "Let justice roll down like waters," he was speaking of a justice that does not drip, it floods. For a flood to come, waters must be gathering somewhere unseen. In the same way, the justice you have been praying for has been accumulating in a hidden place. Now the pressure is reaching a breaking point. This is where you stand now. Heaven is not scrambling or reacting. Heaven is executing what has already been carefully prepared. The file with your name on it is not empty. It is thick with pages of moments you thought no one saw. Every time you forgave in secret, every time you broke but did not turn your back on God, every time you whispered, "Help me hold on," those prayers became ink on those pages. What you perceived as God doing nothing was God letting the story run long enough that no one would be able to deny the truth when it surfaced. The longer they thought they were getting away with it, the clearer the pattern became. The more they repeated the same behavior, the stronger the evidence against them grew. Now the seal is cracking. You can feel it. That strange tension in the atmosphere around your life, that sense that something is about to give way, is not your imagination. It is the sound of a spiritual file being opened and read aloud. You are not standing under a closed heaven. You are standing in a courtroom where the verdict is about to be announced. You need to know this before the next part unfolds. God was never ignoring you. God was building a record so complete, so precise, that when justice moves, it will not be questioned. And in that record, you are not listed as the guilty party. You are listed as the one who endured. You are listed as the one who stayed. You are listed as the one who did not let darkness rewrite who you are. Chosen one, the investigation is over. The evidence has been weighed. In the next moment of this message, you will understand why a major arrest is being written into the script of your destiny, and why heaven could not stay silent any longer. There is a line that heaven has been drawing in silence, and you are standing right on it. The investigation is complete. The evidence has been weighed, and now the judge is not just seated, he is speaking. A major arrest is coming. This is not a poetic exaggeration. It is a spiritual reality that will manifest in visible ways. In nature, it may look like a real person finally being confronted, questioned, exposed, or even handcuffed. In the spirit, it is much bigger than a name on a report. It is the moment heaven says, "This far and no further." It is the moment the power structures that fed off your pain are called to account. The same system that ignored your cries is about to knock on the doors of those who caused them. The same laws they twisted to protect themselves will start tightening around the lies they built. They planned in secret, assuming no one would ever connect the dots. But heaven has been connecting those dots one by one, and now the pattern is undeniable. This arrest is not your downfall, it is your vindication. God is not moving to prove you wrong, but to prove that you were telling the truth all along. They laughed when you walked away. They joked about how easy it was to erase you from the room, from the story, from the narrative they controlled. They thought your exit was the end of your influence. What they did not see was that your exit was the beginning of God's entrance. When you stepped back, heaven stepped in. Now the story is circling back, but this time with a different script. The laughter that once echoed behind your back has turned into a silence filled with dread, because somewhere deep down, they can feel it too. The knock is getting closer. Their hearts are restless. Their peace is thin. The floor they paced on with arrogance has become a stage they will stand on with shaking legs. They thought power would protect them, that connections, titles, money, or influence could shield them from consequence. But there is a court higher than any human system, and that court has already ruled. This is not a call for you to seek revenge. This is not a license to gloat, to spread gossip, or to weaponize what is coming. God does not need your rage to complete his justice. God is not asking you to chase headlines, only to recognize the signs when they appear. When you hear the news, when you see a name appear that you never thought would be questioned, when you watch a system begin to unravel, remember this moment. Remember that heaven told you beforehand, so you would not be shaken by the noise, but anchored by the truth. This is divine correction, not human chaos. It will look messy on the surface, but underneath it is precise. Every hidden deal, every secret conversation, every false narrative has been weighed. Nothing is random. And you are not collateral damage in this process. You are the reason this process began. Chosen one, God is not punishing you. He is clearing your name and reclaiming your future. The arrest is a sign that what tried to arrest your destiny is now being arrested itself. What tried to lock you in a story of shame is being locked out of your next chapter. This is why heaven could not stay silent any longer. The moment has come where truth must step out of the shadows and stand in the light. In the next part of this message, you will see how heaven has already been preparing you through signs, dreams, and strange alignments, so that when this breaking point arrives, you will not crumble, you will stand. Lately, your life has not felt normal, and that is not an accident. You have noticed patterns that you tried to brush off, but they keep returning like waves that refuse to recede. You wake up at specific hours in the night, your heart racing for no clear reason. You have dreams that feel too vivid to be random, scenes that leave your chest heavy and your mind replaying them for days. Certain numbers keep appearing on clocks, receipts, screens, as if time itself is trying to underline something. Songs repeat the same word or phrase just when your thoughts wander to a particular person or situation. Your phone lights up at strange moments with messages that hit exactly where your heart is most raw. Sometimes you feel an urge to step outside, to pause, to breathe, right before something shifts in the atmosphere around you. You have tried to explain it away as anxiety, overthinking, or coincidence. But deep down, you know it is more than that. Your spirit recognizes a language your mind has not fully learned yet. These are not harmless quirks, they are signals. Heaven is not playing with your emotions. Heaven is warning, preparing, and aligning. You have reached a point where ignoring these signs is no longer safe for your destiny. This is how God often moves before a major breaking point. Before truth collides with the lies that have been built around your name, God starts to tune your inner life to his frequency. The unease you feel is not madness. It is holy discomfort. It is God refusing to let you get comfortable in a place that is about to shake. The repeated dreams are not just your subconscious. They are previews, spiritual trailers of what is coming, so that when reality catches up, you are not blindsided. The numbers, the timings, the random encounters are timestamps on a divine countdown. Every chill that runs through your body when a certain topic is mentioned, every moment when the room feels heavier for no logical reason, is heaven highlighting, circling, underlining what matters. This is serious. You are not just emotionally sensitive, you are being spiritually alerted. When a building is about to be demolished, sirens sound, and people are cleared from the area. In the same way, these signs have been God's sirens, pulling you away from people, places, and patterns that cannot go with you into what is next. Do not dismiss what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Do not call crazy what heaven calls clarity. Chosen one, the seriousness of this moment is reflected in the intensity of these signals. They have been increasing because the moment of impact is getting closer. The countdown has not been theoretical. It has been real, and it is almost at zero. In the next part of this message, you will see what happens when that countdown ends, when justice that has been gathering in silence finally breaks into the open, and the reversal you have felt coming in your bones begins to unfold in front of your eyes. When a countdown hits zero, something has to break, and heaven has decided it will not be you. What is about to crack is the structure that was built against you. This is the hour of divine reversal. The very direction your story has been pulled in is about to flip. The hands that pointed at you with confidence will begin to shake. The mouths that mocked you so easily will stumble over your name. The rooms that once agreed you were the problem will have to face the fact that they were protecting the real problem. This is not a small private correction. This is a public unveiling. The ground that absorbed your tears is about to host your honor. The places where you were ignored, dismissed, and quietly pushed aside will be the very places that hear your name spoken with respect. People who once turned their backs will turn their heads. They will re-watch old conversations in their minds and realize you were telling the truth the entire time. The city that once acted like you did not exist will suddenly remember you. Systems that did not answer your calls will send for you. This is not because you have become more important to them, but because the truth they tried to suppress has become impossible to ignore. Heaven is not just clearing a misunderstanding. Heaven is overturning a verdict. You will not only be declared not guilty, you will be revealed as essential. The story they wrote about you behind your back is about to be torn up in front of their eyes. What was whispered in secret will be shouted in public, not to shame you, but to set you free. The same evidence they thought would bury you has been refiled as evidence against the lies. This is why the seriousness of this moment cannot be overstated. Lives, reputations, and legacies are tied to the truth that is about to surface. The arrest that is coming is not a dramatic plot twist. It is the logical conclusion of everything heaven has been documenting. It will shock those who believed the mask, but it will not shock your spirit, because your spirit has been hearing the footsteps of justice for a long time. When the news breaks, it will feel surreal. You may see a headline, a message, or a phone call, and for a moment, your mind will go blank. Breathe. This is what reversal feels like. This is what it looks like when the weight that has been pressing on your chest starts to lift. You are not watching random chaos. You are watching God enforce a verdict that has already been written. Chosen one, you are not just being vindicated, you are being repositioned. The humiliation you endured is becoming fertilizer for the honor that is coming. The story is not circling back to where it was. It is turning in a new direction where truth stands beside you, not behind you. In the next part of this message, you will see why your attitude in this moment matters so much, and how your response to this reversal will determine how high God can safely lift you in the season that is now opening over your life. The way you respond in this hour is not a small detail. It is a test of whether your heart can carry what God is about to place in your hands. Justice is coming, but if you let bitterness sit on the throne of your heart, you will sabotage the very blessing you have been praying for. When the news breaks, when a name is exposed, when a system starts to collapse, everything in your flesh will want to celebrate their fall the way they celebrated your pain. You will feel the rush of, finally, the temptation to send screenshots, to say, see, I told you, to replay every moment where they mocked you and try to make them feel what you felt. But heaven did not fight for you so you could become a mirror of the people who hurt you. God did not gather evidence, overturn verdicts, and orchestrate divine reversal just so your heart could be ruled by revenge. This is serious. Your reaction is not just an emotional outburst, it is spiritual data. It reveals whether you are ready to steward honor without becoming arrogant, whether you can hold vindication without becoming cruel. Jesus spoke of those who are pure in heart, seeing God. Purity in this moment does not mean pretending you are not hurt. It means refusing to let your wound define your character. You can acknowledge the pain without letting it poison your response. When you hear the knock of justice on their door, heaven is watching your posture as closely as it watched their actions. You do not have to defend yourself anymore. Truth is doing that for you now. Your role is to stay clean, to stay low, to stay aligned. When the message comes, when the headline appears, pause, breathe in and out. Say, thank you, God, for seeing me. And let that be louder than, look at what happened to them. Do not run to every person who doubted you, demanding apologies. Do not weaponize the story to build your own empire of pride. Let God be the one who deals with their hearts, just as he has been gently dealing with yours. This is the difference between human revenge and divine correction. Revenge wants to destroy, divine correction wants to expose, realign, and warn. Heaven is correcting what was crooked, not handing you a sword to swing at will. If you choose mercy where you were never given mercy, you prove that the suffering did not deform you, it refined you. If you choose silence over gossip, you show that you trust God more than you trust public opinion. This is deadly serious for your destiny, because the level of authority God is about to release over your life requires a heart that will not use it to crush others. You are being watched, not by people, but by heaven. Let your calm be your victory. Let your humility be your loudest sermon. Let your peace preach louder than any caption you could ever post. In the next part of this message, you will see how, once your heart is anchored like this, doors that were welded shut can finally swing open without destroying you, and how restoration, acceleration, and promotion begin to unfold when God can trust the one he has just publicly vindicated. When heaven can trust your heart in the middle of justice, something shifts in the atmosphere around your life. The same story that once seemed frozen in delay suddenly begins to accelerate. Doors that would not budge start to open almost without effort. Conversations that were always later turn into now. People who never had time for you suddenly remember your name. This is not a random favor. This is restoration in motion. God is not only clearing your record, but he is also restoring what was stolen and multiplying what was delayed. Time you thought was wasted is gathered up and poured back into your future in new forms. Unexpected opportunities, strategic connections, fresh strength, and clarity you have never had before. You will see things align so precisely that others will call it luck, coincidence, or timing, but you will know better. You will know this is what it looks like when God himself begins to redeem the years the locusts of betrayal, lies, and injustice tried to devour. Where you once pushed and nothing moved, you will now touch and watch doors swing open. Where you once had to explain yourself and defend your worth, you will now be invited, requested, or even pursued. This is serious because these open doors are not just about your comfort, they are about your calling. You are stepping out of survival and into assignment. You are not going back to who you were before the pain. That version of you no longer exists. The restoration God is bringing is not a rewind, it is a rebuilding. He is not returning you to the same level, the same circle, the same fragile arrangements that broke the first time. He is lifting you into places that match who you have become in the fire. There will be days that feel almost unreal. The email that arrives at the exact moment you are about to give up. The invitation that fits perfectly with the buried dream you thought had expired. The resources that show up right when you finally dared to start again. It will feel like stepping into a story you once only imagined in your prayers. You will not have to manipulate or force. What is yours will find you because the blockages that kept it away are being removed one by one. This is why the weight of this season is so great. These are not just blessings, they are responsibilities wrapped in favor. The same heaven that brought justice over your past is now investing in your future. Do not call it too good to be true when it arrives. Call it what it is, the justice of God expressed as restoration. Chosen one, you are not chasing miracles anymore. You are beginning to live inside one. Every new door, every divine connection, every sudden opportunity is a sign that God is not just fixing what broke. He is promoting you into purpose. In the next part of this message, you will see why your identity must catch up with what heaven is doing, and how embracing who you truly are in God will keep you from shrinking back when the fullness of this restoration finally stands in front of you. You cannot step into this kind of restoration with a small, broken picture of who you are. If you see yourself only as the victim of what happened, you will keep apologizing for existing even while heaven is trying to seat you in places of influence. Your identity has to rise to the level of what God is doing. For too long, you have carried labels that did not come from God. You were called too much, too sensitive, too ambitious, too dramatic. You were made to feel like the problem, like the weight, like the one who ruined the room just by telling the truth. You started to shrink yourself, dim your light, lower your voice, edit your convictions just to be tolerated. But none of that was the real you. Those were survival costumes you put on to function inside environments that could not handle who you truly are. Heaven is stripping those false names away. The same God who saw you crying on the floor is now standing you up and calling you by a name that does not sound like an accusation, but an assignment. You are not merely the one who survived what they did. You are the one who carries a story that will set other captives free. Your scars are not stains. They are signatures that you have walked through fire and did not become the fire. There is a reason hell fought you so hard. Your life is proof that darkness can throw its worst and still lose. That is dangerous to the kingdom of lies and precious to the kingdom of God. There will be a temptation in this season to downplay what God has done, to act like it was not that bad, to comfort the very people who once took comfort in your silence. Do not confuse humility with self-erasure. Humility is agreeing with God's view of you, nothing more and nothing less. If God calls you restored, stop calling yourself ruined. If God calls you needed, stop calling yourself extra. If God calls you an answer, stop rehearsing the times you were treated like a problem. Chosen one, you are not standing on the edge of destruction. You are standing at the door of revelation. God is revealing you to you. You are seeing, maybe for the first time, the strength it took to not become bitter, the courage it took to walk away, the faith it took to keep praying when everything in you wanted to shut down. This is not ego, this is clarity. David did not defeat Goliath by pretending he was still just a forgotten shepherd boy. He stepped onto the battlefield, knowing that the same God who was with him in the field was with him in front of the giant. In the same way, the God who was with you in the hidden places is with you now as he brings you into visible spaces. You are not being pushed into the spotlight to be consumed. You are being positioned so that your story can become a light for others, stumbling in the same dark you once walked through. This is deadly serious for your destiny. If you shrink back now, you will not just be hiding yourself. You will be hiding the evidence heaven intends to use to heal others. God did not pour this much justice, this much restoration, this much mercy into your life for it to stop with you. You are being commissioned. Your vindication is not just for your comfort, it is your calling card. When people look at you and ask, "How did you make it through that?" your very existence will preach, because God did not let the story end there. In the next and final part of this message, you will be invited to seal this word over your life, to agree out loud with what heaven has already decided, and to step fully into the peace, purpose, and holy confidence that come when you finally stop arguing with who God says you are. This is the moment where everything you have heard has to move from your ears into your spirit. You have walked through betrayal, silence, investigation, divine evidence, the promise of a major arrest, signals in your dreams and days, the reversal of the story, the testing of your heart, the unlocking of doors, and the revelation of who you truly are. Now it has to be sealed. This is not a motivational speech to remember for a day and forget tomorrow. This is a verdict from heaven that you must agree with. God has seen the injustice. God has gathered the proof. God has written the reversal. Justice is not a rumor. It is already in motion. You are not the one being punished. You are the one being cleared, lifted, and sent. The storm did not drown you. It washed away what could not go with you. The tears did not break you. They baptized you into a new chapter. The silence of God did not mean you were abandoned. It meant your case was being prepared so thoroughly that when justice arrived, no one could deny it. Chosen one, you are stepping out of the season of waiting and into the season of witnessing. You will see with your own eyes what God has been whispering to your heart. You will feel the weight lift, the air clear, the peace settle. Right now, out loud or in your heart, agree with heaven. I receive divine justice. I receive restoration. I receive clarity. I lay down revenge, and I pick up peace. I will not shrink back from who God says I am. Let that be your decree. May your sleep be deep and unafraid. May your mind be clear and steady. May your spirit be strong enough to hold the blessings that are coming without collapsing under them. When the news breaks, when the arrest happens, when the reversal appears, remember this word and stand in quiet awe, not noisy pride. Let your calm be your confirmation that you knew God